1994, one of the greatest rap albums ever made, dropped on the same day as Method Man's debut, 5 months after Illmatic, 2 months after Ready to Die. It sold about 160,000 copies. Almost nobody talked about it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Soul Rabbit. I'm your host, Savage the Plug, and this is In Case You Missed, a series where we look back at albums that shape or did not shape the way we listen to music now. It's not really a review, it's just a way for us to figure out if an album hit or not, you feel me? And today, we're going all the way back to 1994. Two kids from Mount Vernon, New York, who made the most underappreciated album of the best year in hip-hop history. Let's get into it, man. So before we talk about the main ingredient, I need you to actually feel 1994, because the reason why it got slept on is inseparable from the year it actually dropped into. You feel me? It's 1994. Nelson Mandela is elected president of South Africa, the country's first black president, and the whole world is watching. The O.J. Simpson Bronco chase happens in June of that year. Kurt Cobain unfortunately dies in April of 1994. The Lion King drops that summer. Forrest Gump is in every theater. Friends premieres in September of 1994. Now in hip-hop, 1994 is widely considered the greatest year the genre has ever produced. And that is not a debate. April 19th, Nas drops Illmatic. In my opinion, probably the best rap album of all time. Pete Rock, which we'll talk about later, produced one of my favorite songs off the album, The World Is Yours, on that album. Now, April 26th of the same year, Outkast drops their debut album, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. I hope I said that right. September 13, the Notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie, drops Ready to Die, his first release on Bible Records. Juicy, Big Papa, hits like we've never seen before, solidifying his place in the rap game forever. Now, also in 1994, another underrated banger, Common drops Resurrection, Scarface drops The Diary, Warren G drops Regulate, classic. Genuinely embarrassing how many classic albums drop in a single year. Now, after all that, on November 8th, 1994, right in the middle of all that, Hall of Fame producer Pete Rock and MC C.L. Smooth quietly released their second album, The Main Ingredient, on Elektra Records. It peaks at number 51 on the Billboard 200. But, hip-hop heads put it already in the discussion and rotation, but in broader discussion, it kind of gets swallowed whole by the year around it, clearly. And, that's not a reflection of the album's quality. It's a reflection on how competitive and how crazy 1994 actually was for rap and how influential it was for rap. They managed to drop a masterpiece in 1994 and it somehow still got lost, which is crazy. Now, Pete Rock and C.L. Smooth are both from Mount Vernon, a working class city just north of the Bronx. They both met in Mount Vernon High School. Pete Rock was the son of Jamaican immigrants who raised him in the Bronx before moving the family all the way to Mount Vernon. Now, C.L. Smooth, born Corey Penn, was a kid from the same neighborhood with a voice and a cadence that nobody really sounded like. Now, Pete Rock started scratching at around 7 years old, which is pretty impressive. Literally on the Fisher-Price toy records that his parents bought him when he was a kid. And his first cousin was Heavy D, legendary MC. And that connection mattered more than people ever thought it. Now, Pete grew up in FED's orbit, which meant real musicians, real equipment, real industry connections at an early age. At age 17, a rapper named Freddie Fox gave him an EMU SP 1200 sampler, the machine that defined the golden age of sampling. That's when his beats started. Now, he met Marley Marl, legendary producer, at 13, landed a DJ spot on his radio show, and spent his teenage years kind of absorbing every soul, funk, and jazz record he could find. His crates really became his education. Now, the duo both got their industry introduction through DJ Eddie F., Heavy D's DJ, who managed them through his Untouchables entertainment company. Elektra Records signed them off the strength of their demos. So then they ended up putting out the EP All Sold in June of 1991. Their debut album, Mecca and the Soul Brother, followed in June of 1992. And on that debut, buried a B-side to the single Strainin' Out, was a song that would eventually be recognized as one of the greatest hip-hop ever made. They Reminisce Over You, aka Troy, was written for a friend named Troy Dixon, known as Trouble T. Roy. He was a dancer for Every D and The Boys. And on July 15th, 1990, after a concert in Indianapolis at the Market Square Arena, he was outside with other performers on a raised exit ramp, and someone pushed a trash barrel down the ramp. T-Roy got on a ledge to avoid it, lost his balance, and fell 2 stories. Unfortunately, He passed away at 22 years old. The loss hit Mount Vernon community really hard. Pete went back to his basement, devastated, and started digging through records for something that matched how he felt. He dropped the needle on Tom Scott's cover of Jefferson Airplane's Tick and knew immediately that was it. Pete Rock has said that when they make this track down, Charlie Brown from the New Leaders of the New School was in the session and everyone in the room started crying. C.L. Smooth, on the 2024 appearance on Drink Champs, said he didn't even know it was going to be a classic, but he knew that he was writing something special because he hadn't heard it from nobody. That proved to be a fact. And that was released as a B-side. It wasn't even the lead single of the project. Rolling Stones eventually ranked it number 12 on the 50 greatest hip-hop songs of all time. I think it should be closer to top 10, but hey, you know, that's a debate for another day. But even with Troy, even with the critical respect, Mecca and the Soul Brother didn't really sell dramatically. Heading into the main ingredient, Elektra pushed for them to make something a bit more polished, more focused, something that could reach like a bigger and broader audience without losing what made them special. That's what they did. Now, the album recorded through 1993 and 1994, and Pete has handled every single beat himself. And, you know, in that studio, something was happening that most people didn't know. Pete Rock at the time was one of the most in-demand producers in New York in 1994. You know, while building the main ingredient, he was simultaneously contributing to Illmatic. Like I told y'all earlier, The World Is Yours was produced by Pete Rock. That's the world that album was made in. Now, what does it actually sound like? I mean, the main ingredient sounds like a late afternoon light coming through a window. Like, that's the best way I could describe it. Real talk. I feel like it perfectly encapsulates what was best about 90s hip-hop and rap, whether it's in terms of just the rap style, the flows, the production itself. I don't think you're gonna see a better collection of instrumentals laid out through a whole album like this. I'm not gonna say never, but what was done here was, you could feel like these dudes was hungry. C.L. Smooth did his thing. Real talk. You see, you know, the debut was a bit more boom bap influenced. You know, it was way more raw energy. But this one, it felt way more subdued. You know, it was deeper in the pocket. It was built for deep listening, and it did its job right. And that's what the label really wanted to. Elektra Records really pushed them to the limit in terms of that. You know, they really wanted something better from the Mecca and the Soul Brother, which was already a great album, but this is just, it's night and day in my opinion. Signature move across the whole album is the interlude outro. Almost every song ends with a short Pete Rock instrumental, either like a loop or a beat that didn't really have enough space for a full song, but we still had to show a bit of love to, you feel me? Basically kind of throwaways, but I guess not really. So, and funny enough, some of those samples actually got flipped and used by other artists in the future, so that really proves that, you know, the legacy still went on. And yeah, and there's C.L. Smooth, you know, who kind of gets undervalued in those conversations about this duo, because Pete Rock's production is so great that I feel like we don't really talk about him that much. But, you know, his contribution is huge. It's real. It's necessary. We won't really find another C.L. Smooth. Just the way he talks, the way he flows, his bars. Not a lot of cursing as well in his thing, which is pretty impressive at the time, but he found a way to rhyme everything and just put those emotions. Kind of everything we loved about Troy is encapsulated in this. You know, his vocabulary is insane into this. Like, he low-key invented a lot of words in that album, and he somehow made it work. So we gotta give credit where credit is due. Website AllMusic called his lyricism just as propulsive and engaging as the music, which is 100% accurate. And you see, that's the thing about this album. Like, it doesn't try to compete with Illmatic or Ready to Die, because it's just not comparable. It's not the same type of album. You don't expect the same type of things going into the main ingredient as you are with Ready to Die or Illmatic. It doesn't come across the same themes or the same vibes. This album feels comfortable. It feels nice and chill. This is exactly what you're expecting from that. All right, man, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this motherfucker, man. We get started with a strong intro in the house. Easily a banger. Gotta go in A. I mean, then we got Carmel City, right? Before I even continue with this, y'all noticed how everything is organized, because I decided to make the tier list myself. See how organized this is by like perfect track order. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Carmel City, listen, this song grew on me a lot. Like, it's supposed to be a high A, but like, you know what's surprising? I'm gonna put it in an S. You know, it's very great. It's, you know, just good bar, man. This is a banger. You know what I'm saying? I get physical. Gotta be an A. So A, just banger. You know, just good bars. I mean, that's the thing. This album's not gonna. There's gonna be a lot of A's and S's, man. Sun won't come out. Automatic S. Arguably the best song on the album. This is that real. That's like good. Like if you want like a good rap, like you know what I'm saying, you want to feel hyped up. It's like this like a before a basketball game type of song, bro. Like, yeah, this gotta be S. I gotta love. You know what? Like this could be this would be an S. It's catchy. Got a good nice 90. Like this could have been a hit technically. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put in like a low S. Like it's a good banger. It's a good banger. Escape is super good. Like I'm gonna put it like a low A. I think it's good enough. Main Ingredient, so also like a low A. It's pretty good. It used the same sample as Q-Tip Jazz. We got like they had like a little beef with that. That was pretty good. Worldwide, I like Worldwide, but like you know I'm still putting B. Like it's okay. Like it's nothing crazy. All the Places, it's catchy, man. It's a slapper. This also could have been a hit. Nice like R&B balance. Got to be an S. Tell me it's gonna be a B, but I'm gonna put it high B. Take You There, low A, slapper as well. Searching, top of the S, probably best song on there. Check it out, easily a S. Not better than. Listen, Carmel City should probably be behind all them, but still a S. But Searching, probably best song out for sure. R&B, good 90s vibes, should have been a hit. It's an underground classic though for sure. In the Flesh, it's an S, but like. For me, it's an S. If you listen, you understand. It's a long song, but man, it's such a slapper, man. Great beat, great bars. Just puts you in the mood, man, for real. I'm gonna put it as a low S, man. Definitely deserves to be on there. It's On You, low A. It's nothing crazy, but it's such a great banger. Like, it's just a great song right there. And Get On the Mic, I'm gonna put it as a low B. I think it's probably the worst song on the album, and even then, that says a lot. So here we go, man. We got the full list. I put the rating up there. But yeah, man, a lot of A's, a lot of S's, man. This is genuinely like a no skips album. Like I said, these three maybe like we could maybe skip, but even then, I don't even think those. Like those could have been an A, but I have to be biased. I can't be too biased here. But y'all get me. You feel me? So what did the culture say? So you know, the Main Ingredient, like we said, dropped on November 8th, 1994, and it peaked at number 51 on the Billboard 200. And number 9 on the top R&B and hip hop albums. A slight dip from The Mecca and the Soul Brother, which debuted at number 40. Now, they had 3 singles off of it. They got I Gotta Love, followed by Take You There, and then Searching in 1990. None became really crossover hits. And, you know, the album sold modestly and was not really a mainstream event. What it was, though, was a critical one. People paying attention knew about it and heard it. And in the years after, the reevaluations accumulated. AllMusic described it as an album that is far more focused and just as good as the first record, perhaps an even more satisfying single listen. It has appeared on virtually every single serious best of the 90s list. Now, the downstream life of this album in the producer community is what seals its legacy. Jay Dilla, one of the best producers of the 2000s and of all time. Well, he used to play The Main Ingredient on repeat during studio session. And there's a documented account of him having it while he was meeting Pete Rock for the first time when he was working on album Once Upon a Time. When Jay Dilla is studying a record, bro, you already know you made some. And honestly, like if you do listen to Jay Dilla, you can kind of feel like the Pete Rock influence in Jay Dilla's game. Now, in terms of controversy, we got 2 for y'all today. First one is the Juicy beat. Now, you know, during the same 1994 period, Pete Rock was actually commissioned to remix Juicy. You know, he made the beat, he brought it to the session, and then he played it for Puff. Now, according to Pete Rock, Puff heard what he had, and then he used the concept for the original Juicy production without crediting him or compensating. And P has carried this grievance publicly for decades. Now, that's another example of Puff Daddy being a hoe ass nigga. For real. We don't like Diddy, nigga. No cap. Puff never addressed it publicly. He ain't seem like he cared, which he does that a lot. We see the pattern. You know what I'm saying, with Diddy. Now, the big one, man, the most unfortunate one, man, the split. In 1994, right after C.L Smooth filmed a Sprite commercial that kind of gave them their most mainstream visibility yet, they both announced they were done. And the official reason was creative differences. Like, they both have admitted since that the real issue was just the working relationship in itself, which is kind of sad. They felt like things kind of became unstable. Both of them kept things pretty private. They never really discussed it outside, you know. They never made another album, which is super unfortunate because the work was insane. In 2018, Pete Rock did confirm that there was not going to be a third project coming. You know, they had collabed on a few things, you know, after The Main Ingredient, but it wasn't anything concrete like as a project. Even in the 2024 Drink Champs interview, he said that it should have never been like this, you know. They should have still been together. still working there, but you know, he left it there. He didn't really want to address those things, you know. And you know, the split matters because you see, the main ingredient is kind of like the last project we'll ever hear of them, unless they somehow decide to release a lost tapes type of thing. Either way, I don't really see it happening, and especially now that I think C.L. Smooth still really raps. Pete Rock still kind of produces here and there, but just that magic that they had in the 90s, it's not gonna happen again. Anyways, last but not least, you already know what this is, man. This is the damn verdict. Got the 2 scores, and we got the flat at the end. You already know how it goes. First off, for the cultural impact. Did the album change something outside of itself? Now, honestly, I feel like the main ingredient is a very fascinating case because like the cultural impact is almost indirect. Like, it didn't really chart high. It didn't really produce any radio staples. But really what it did was kind of go deep within the producer community and true hip hop heads. It gave a really lasting impact for those in terms of the influence. Now, I'd say maybe for the production, I feel like it became a reference point. I feel like this is some of the best Pete Rock production ever. Now, obviously, he had a bunch of bangers outside. Even the same year, he had The World Is Yours, which is one of the best beats of all time. And then he could have also had Juicy, which is kind of crazy. But I feel like that whole jazz, soul sampling aesthetic thing is something that, you know, producers of the future learned through him and got inspired by him. And one of the main examples of the album still getting sampled to this day is the Shiny Suit Theory by Jay Electronica and Jay-Z. That sampled I Gotta Love. Honestly, I feel like I gotta rate it like a moderate 3 out of 5. I feel like that's pretty fair for it. It's not something groundbreaking like Illmatic, but it still deserves some flowers, at least for the producer community. Now, the last category, you already know, the emotional resonance. Does it still hit? Now, for me, I already crowned it as the most underrated rap album of the 90s, in my personal opinion. I think yes. You know, I don't even want to be biased. If you're watching this video, at the end of the day, y'all gotta go listen to this in its entirety. I feel like I'm not giving it as much credit as it's due, but you guys have to understand that for you to capture this vibe of the 90s and this emotion within the bars and the production, and also find a way to pay homage to the 60s and the 70s through the soul samples, jazz samples, funk samples. You know, an album that can make you dance, that can make you feel in your vibe, it make you feel motivated, can just give you a lot of emotions, but also at the same time still give you a chill mood. Like I said earlier, it feels like an afternoon type of vibe. This feels like a great summer vibes album, but it doesn't mean that you can only play in the summer. You can play it anytime. I hate to be biased here. I feel like it should deserve a 4 out of 5, but I think I gotta give it a 5 out of 5, unfortunately. Any person that goes to listen to this album after this will agree with me. It's a great work of the 90s. It doesn't get as much love as an Illmatic would, or any Biggie project, Pac project, just any that released around that time. And I understand why, because it doesn't have its big hit. It doesn't have its big classics like the other albums would. But as a body of work, I generally feel like it's almost flawless. There's generally no skips through the album. Yo, give it a listen. I think it deserves a 5 out of 5 for emotional resonance. Okay, so last but not least, what flag does it get? We're gonna give it the yellow flag, which means it's quietly influential. This album definitely moved the culture in a more subtle way than another classic album would. Anyone that listened to it or cherished it will understand what I'm saying. Like I said, for the producer world at least, it definitely had a huge influence, you know? Maybe not in terms of the rap community, maybe not as much, or rap listeners. I feel like we appreciate it for what it did, but it's not something that is groundbreakingly influential in the way that an Illmatic would. Anyways, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. This was In Case You Missed. Make sure to watch the rest of the In Case You Missed, man. I'm gonna put the playlist right up there. Me and my cuz ASAP here. Tune in for the next video, man. I'm gonna see y'all next week. This has been a pleasure, man. I'm gonna see y'all soon, cuz. Peace.